Guys, welcome back to Instructions for Humanity. It is Tahira, your spiritual teacher. This is part 2 of the very important channel message by Mother God about being molded. Okay? I'm going to go ahead and just play the recording, but I'm going to try not to stop it as much this time so the video does not drag on. But we are basically left off at the part where Mother God explains that God cannot be God if we don't do our part. We're talking about why the matrix is. That's what this whole channel message is about. I did a video about you'll never leave the matrix until you do this. And then the next day, I received a spiritual call from Mother God to explain to me why we are here in the matrix and how to get out. So you want to watch part 1, but let me just go ahead and start to play the video. But we left off at the part where Mother God says that we are each involved in the expansion of God. That is why we are here, essentially. Let's go.
It is astounding how little praise we give ourselves. And we give so much praise to entities and people and material things. But in truth, it is ourselves. It is the teachings and the lessons that we teach ourselves which complete Source. And so that is why you're being molded. Because you are part of this massive source mathematical equation that is made up of many circles. Hence the reason why you have to keep going round and around. It's made up of many circles that are interwoven together. Like the Olympic sign. But imagine if you were to stretch out the Olympic sign and just make all of those circles interwoven together, but also they would, in fact, complete a circle.
Okay, I'm going to pause it right there because it's very important in case you have not watched video number 1. That Source explained to me what this matrix is, gave me an analogy. There is a game at Chuck E. Cheese or maybe Pin Stacks or a place you go to play games. You roll the ball up a wooden plank, and then with the momentum that ball has, that momentum is our life force. Guys, once your momentum runs out, that's when you end the life, this life you're living. And then once your complete soul's life force energy runs out, that's when you exit the matrix. So you roll the ball up this wooden plank, and then the ball goes around and around, and there's many circles. So first outer loop, the ball might go around 10 times. That could be a lesson that it takes you 10 times to learn, whether that's 10 days, 10 years, or 10 lifetimes. And then you move into the one of the inner circles, and the ball goes around another 10 times, whether that's 10 days, 10 years, or 10 lifetimes. The time clock we're on is just the time that it takes you to learn the lessons. Because the reason why you're in the matrix is because you are becoming your own creator God. Creation is started with your creator, but it finishes off by you. You finish your own creation of you by becoming your God self, your Christ self. So she was explaining about the Olympic signs, which are like circles, right? So that is what the matrix is. It is circles, the circle of life. And the circles are the lessons. Let's continue.
That is how we complete Source. Source is not complete without us. Because we are Source, we are aspect of Source that has been divided and separated to come down and have multiple experiences on this miracle round to gather the necessary information to complete the links. This is a simple purpose of life, of this matrix. So why do people say, and even I say, we are are trapped. Well, you are trapped because the momentum. Let's go back to the game. You throw the ball up the wooden plank. You know how much momentum that took because gravity is actually working against you. You have to throw the ball really hard, meaning your parents have to try really hard to bring you into existence, to rear you up the right way so that you can learn all the lessons. So when you turn 18 or before, when you become an adult to make your own decisions, that is when the miracle wheel starts. And you start to go round and round and round and round and round with the momentum you've been given from your parents, from all of their teachings, love, and support. And when the momentum runs out, you have everything you need. You have enough momentum to complete this. I'm getting a sense that whatever tools that you were given from your parents, some parents gave their children a lot of momentum, a huge springboard to go ahead and get up that wooden plank, to defy the gravity and throw that ball up the wooden plank. And then that ball has so much momentum to keep going round and round and round and round and round and round until the momentum runs out. Every parent that we choose to be our parents will provide us with enough momentum so that we can live out this said purpose in this said life path that we have already chosen. So you're going to have exactly what you need. You're going to have enough momentum. Even if that momentum just lasts for 20 years here on the earth, maybe you didn't go 10 times around each circle. Maybe you only went 2 times around each circle. But you had enough momentum to complete your particular mission. So momentum is the reason why you say you're stuck in the matrix. Because let's say you pass away at the age of 85, right? But that ball has not completed the full momentum pattern. It's only went around 10 times the big circle, but it has 6 more circles to go. And those circles are within circles are within circles. If you can imagine this game with me that I speak of, you go to Chuck E. Cheese or Pin Stacks, you'll see that game. So that's why you say you're stuck. Because if you only complete the outer circle, and there's the 6 more to go, you naturally are just put back into the game. Until all of the life force momentum runs out. The life force is within your entire soul frequency. So whether that's 100 or 100,000 lifetimes, once that life force runs out, the solo life force, then it gets reused and it goes back into the collective consciousness where it dwells without an individual conscious of all the individual lifetimes that it has been through.
Okay, just stopping it really quickly right there. So that's how you exit the matrix. Once your life force momentum runs out from your soul frequency, then that gets absorbed back into the greater whole, back into the collective, back into the divine source of all. And you no longer have your individual consciousness, like I've spoke about in other videos. To truly go back home to God is to give up all of the information you've been gathering through all of these lifetimes. I don't care if you've had 1,000,000 lifetimes. You give that up to Source. That is the only way Source can expand. You can't be in the ego. We are a group consciousness. We are group consciousness. Huh. Weird, as I was just making the Trinity sign. What's the triangle? Is the Trinity. That's what group consciousness is. It's when all of your cylinders are working. The Father aspect of you, the Christ aspect of you, the Holy Spirit aspect of you that holds everything up. That is when you go back home, but you can't be selfish, beloved. That's why I say the only way to exit the matrix is to get out of your ego state. Because if you want to hold on to this information, it's not yours to hold on to, because you are source. You are source. Let's continue.
It dwells within the greater whole, and expansion happens through the deliverance of self, the relinquishing of self. That's how expansion happens. It's like you give up your ego state for the full expansion of source. Christ's source is what I'm hearing. So now you're no longer that individual soul, and that soul frequency that you had all of this time, being recognized through many different lifetimes by many different members of your soul group and soul family, that actually changes and it goes away. So you really do lose your ego state, your soul state, singular, to become part of the greater whole, to get the true expansion. So it's a bittersweet process to a human mind.
Stopping it right there. Just pointed out, expansion happens through giving up your ego. When you give up your ego state, you give all that information, all those lifetimes and experiences and pain and happiness, you give it over to the divine. That is how source expands and grows. This just made me think of something. When we're coming into our awakening, we do our I am affirmations. We are remembering that we are God, that we are source, that we are the Christ energy. So we're like, I am, I am. It's like we have to be somewhat in the ego to bring out that spiritual sovereignty, to bring out the God state within us, to bring out the remembrance that we are source. But it's funny that when you go back to source, you lose all that I am awareness. So the I am awareness, beloved, I'm getting is still part of your ego state, but it is the heightened part of your ego state that you need to get to in order to go down, ascend downwards, to be recycled back into source for the full expansion of. Here we go.
But it is the natural cycle. It's the natural cycle. Anything else you want to say about that? Some of us are molded and some of us are formed. What does that mean? Some of us are molded and some of us are formed. You yourself are being molded. Imagine someone takes clay. It's just a big lump of clay, a block of clay, and they slowly start to knead out the clay to get it soft. They take a little water and put it on the clay and knead it. Now it's soft. Now, what was formless can now take shape and become a form. But you are perfectionately being molded, handcrafted by the divine. I see huge hands taking the clay, crafting the eyes just perfectly, crafting the nose just perfectly, crafting the shape of the face just perfectly. You are being molded for a particular purpose. There are some that are molded to come here by Source, directly from Source. No matrix involved. It's a direct mission by Source, by the greater whole consciousness. Then there are some that are formed. Okay, I'm getting the image when I said some that are formed. It's a factory. You have a stencil. You have already a cutout, a mold that is made. That is a one-size-fits-all mold. When you pour the clay, that is already gone through the process. It's not a block. It's just a bunch of clay in a storage. And it's already soft enough to pour into these already molds that you just pour the clay in a factory, and you can make multiple versions, hundreds of thousands, millions, and billions from just this one generic mold. And that is how you are formed. So not to say that you're not special, but I'm also saying that you're not special when you are formed. And what does that mean? It means that you don't necessarily have a purpose for the greater collective, for Source. You still have a purpose to be here in the world, to live out your dreams, hopes, aspirations, to love, to thrive, to build empathy and compassion, to feel the depths of being human. You still have that right. You still go around that miracle round. But it's in a generic way. But when you're molded, it comes directly from Source. It comes with a mission that must be followed. You cannot mess it up when you are molded. Because if there are people in your life or material things in your life stopping you from living out that said mission, those things and obstacles will be removed when you are molded, because the mission must be carried out. But when you are formed, you can stay in relationships. You can stay with material things that no longer serve you. No one will bother you. No one will remove those things. You can choose as you see fit without any interference, because it's one size fits all. If you don't do a certain thing, then someone else will do it. But it's of no concern to Source. But when you are molded, handcrafted, specifically and directly from Source, a pathway will always be cleared. That's why it's funny to me when I see the people that are molded complain and think that they won't be taken care of and think that they won't survive or be protected or guided. It's so funny to me, because you really can't mess it up, because you're molded. You are a direct, I'm seeing an arm. Okay.
Let me stop it right there. So much was said by Mother God. Okay, there's a difference between being molded and being formed. Mother God goes on to say, you have been molded. When you are molded, you are perfectly handcrafted by the divine. That even means all of your little attributes that you have. And not only that, you are on a direct mission by source. No matrix is involved. You come here directly by source because you were handcrafted perfectly to fit into this mathematical equation that is a code, that is the matrix. So the molded is the chosen ones, beloved, which come directly from source. When you were formed, she gave the example of you being in a factory. Basically, the mold has already been made. We are the mold, the people that come from source. The energy, rather, that comes from source is the mold. What the matrix does when it creates matrix people, which are the non-playable characters, it takes the mold from us that have already been created, handcrafted by the divine. And in like a factory, it just fills in the pre-packaged clay into the mold that was made from our likeness and character and energy, frequency. And in that existence, when you're formed directly from the matrix, you don't have a divine purpose for the expansion of the all. You are just part of the game. You are to basically make this matrix look real. You still can come down here, have your lifetimes, learn your lessons. It may not be time for you to actually gain a soul. You might actually, didn't he want to be a real boy so bad? I think at the end of the movie, he became a real boy. I'm not sure how it goes, but it's the same thing. Some of these people that are formed, that are the bots of the heaven matrix, they can possibly win a soul, but right now, they're just playing their role. So source is not going to bother them. That's why you see some people when they're not awakened. You're like, why haven't you awakened? Well, these are the formed people from the matrix. Source is not going to bother you to awaken you because you are not from source. You're not part of the expansion of God. The people out here speaking out, the people out here willing to be ostracized to bring you guys this information, we are directly molded from source. We have no choice. You heard what Source Mother said, is that there will be interference when you are from source, when you're molded. There will be interference because the show must go on, because spirit must be satisfied. Those things in which you were handcrafted to do must be done. So we go through a lot of changes and hardships in our lives. People enter our lives and they leave our lives, and we're wondering why. It's because we are molded and not formed. Source will remove the things that no longer serve you. You will remove those things that no longer serve you. Your source self will. But when you are formed, source doesn't need to have that conversation with you. You don't need to be awakened because you are in a different game. You're strictly for the matrix. You're not to evolve and move past this at this present moment. Okay, continue.
Huge arm of source. You're connected to that arm. You are connected directly to source. You are an extension of it, is what I'm seeing, why I'm seeing the arm. Your direct ascension, not ascension, but your direct, can't think of the word, from source. You are connected to it. So when you move, it moves. Or rather, when it moves, you move. Do you see what I'm saying?
Hand of source.
There's no separation there when you are molded. You'll always be taken care of.
Connected.
Because always. Spirit's will must be satisfied. Spirit must be satisfied when you are molded. When you are formed, you can do whatever you shall please to do. It doesn't matter. Yeah, it's an easier existence, but it is not a chosen, a molded existence. I'm seeing that the people that are formed are, I don't want to say this sounds negative, bots directly from the matrix machine, but that's kind of what I'm seeing. They are just creations from the matrix machine. We may equate these as the non-playable characters It's not that they're all non-playable characters, because some do have a soul, because the Matrix God has a way of getting souls and can implant souls into some people that are formed. But also there can be non-playable characters within the others that are also formed. But when you are molded, you come from outside of the Matrix to inside of the Matrix, directly from Source. Source, you still have to play within the confines of the Matrix. You still will go through the merry-go-round. But the difference is you are a one of a kind because you are molded. And Source's hand extends, and even though you're not connected at the tip of the fingers, there is an invisible cord that you are connected to Source. So you are Source directly when you are molded. So even though you still go around on that game, on that miracle wheel, your hand, the Source, the hand of Source, and the hand of you is connected. There's no way to sever it because you are molded by Source. You are an extension of Source to do a certain thing, and a pathway will always be cleared. So just wanted to make that distinction between people that are molded versus people that are formed. People that are formed, they come directly from the Matrix, some with souls, some that are non-playable characters. But it is a mold, that it's a one-size-fits-all. This is why 99% of the people think alike on this earth. 99% of the people can be swayed and controlled and delivered a message, and they will not reject it or think on their own because they were formed and not molded. Thank you. I end this transmission.
Okay, guys, that was the message from Mother God about being molded versus being formed. So when you're formed, you may have a soul. And I find it interesting, she said, that some people that are formed, and they're formed by the heaven matrix. There are people with souls because the matrix has a way of getting souls. That would be equivalent to when they say you're going to lose your soul to the devil. The matrix has a way of getting souls. When you buy into this material life completely, when all your values are based on material things which you can have and hold and possess, that is when the matrix can win your soul. But then there are some non-playable characters that do not have souls, guys. So you're trying to awaken everyone. There's no need to awaken the non-playable characters and the people who have lost their soul. Possibly, yeah, but see, there's enough of us molded people because we have been handcrafted. We have the real source energy. All we have to do is awaken. All we have to do is elevate and stand in our Christ sovereignty consciousness. And the rest of the world will evolve. Some will fall away by the wayside, and some will evolve. And this is how source grows and expands. So you, as a molded source piece, you are very important to life. I don't care if you don't have anything. I don't care if you're homeless. You are more important than those presidents and so-called popes and so-called kings and queens. No, you are part of the true royal family. I just want to say that, and for today I'm going to leave this right here. But I want to say I love you guys, the birds, the bees, and all of the trees. They all love you too. Love is the way. Forgiveness, it is the key. And truth is the absolute light that will always, always guide us home. Be well. Be well, guys.